Hi, this is Dr. Barb. I'm here with another Viral Cycles. This is the fourth activity in our series, and this one is on the size of virions. How big are they compared to other things, compared to our cells, compared to bacterial cells? Which is bigger, a wavelength of blue light or a virion? How about the period at the end of a sentence? So we're going to look at all of those things, and you can find the lesson plan right next to this video, and on page, sorry, I'm having trouble turning the pages, 3, you'll need to print page 3 and print page 4. Now I think you can run these double-sided if you like. I think they're lined so that you can have one with the different sizes and one that are blank, or you can print them on single-size paper. Either works, however it works best for you. You'll also need a pair of scissors and markers, our famous markers. So I'm going to let you pause this video here, and when you come back, we'll get started with the virion sizes lesson. All right, got everything? Not too many supplies this time. So you have your page, and what you want to do is there are 12 different pictures, and let me put my camera down so we can see it. Oh, that's the lesson. Let me put that to the side. And you want to cut out your 12 squares. So go ahead and do that, and then cut out your blank 12 squares too, but you can set those aside for now because we'll only be using these 12 to begin with. So pause here, cut out your 12, and when you get it done, I'll tell you what to do with those 12 sizes. All right, are you ready? So go ahead and lay out your 12 sizes. So we have wavelength, the blue light. We have sneeze droplets, and that is actually a picture of somebody sneezing. I picked this image up from the CDC. It was, I thought it was kind of gross because the guy who was sneezing was over here, so I just made it his droplets. I should turn it this way so you can see it better. There we go. And then here we have ribosome, and we have an ant, an antibody, different than the ant. And these are human skin cells. Each one of those dots is the nucleus in the skin cell. And if you look, you can see the outer membrane of each cell. So this has, I don't know, 30 skin cells right there. And then we have our coronavirus right here. Corona means halo, and the halo is the little glycoproteins that are in the sphere of the coronavirus, and so that's why it's called a coronavirus. And other viruses that have this shape are also referred to as coronavirus. DNA. This is a dot. Now this is actual size. The ant is larger than real life, and all of these are larger than real life, but that dot is, you're supposed to use that size of dot. And then we have a protein, and scientists take proteins, and these are after the DNA has replicated, as transcribed to RNA, and RNA is translated to a protein. The protein gets folded up, and this is what this represents. And then we have a mask here. This is one of the N95 masks that our healthcare workers are using. It's not the mask size, it's the pores that they're breathing through. What are the size of those pores? So we're not talking about the masks. And then this was, I was looking for a single bacterium cell. And the only one I could find online that was, this is from a university, this is a Escherichia coli, E. coli, in the process of dividing. So it's actually a single cell in the process dividing to 2 cells. I thought that was totally cool. But that was in an electron scanning microscope. And this is a regular microscope. So what you want to do is you want to take, and looking at your 12 images, Which one do you think is the largest? I think it might be the ant. So I'm going to put the ant to, let's see, I'm trying to do this backwards, to the far left. And which one do you think is the smallest? Now, I'm not going to tell you if I'm right or not, but just if I were guessing, I would probably think the blue wavelength would be the smallest. Now, what we're doing is we're looking at a scale of nanometers, and nanometers are really small. Oops, let me get that into the camera image. Okay, and then I have these others. So what I want to do is, with all these others, I want to go from the largest to the smallest and try to order these into the largest to the smallest of all of them. Let's see, I need to move this one over some more. Okay, so go ahead and pause here and try to figure out. Now, one of the things I want to say with science, science means knowledge. So when you do this, you don't have to know because you're learning. So if you're learning something, you're doing good science. But if you do this and you don't learn anything from it, you're not doing any science. It's just, I don't know what it is, messing around, playing around. So what you want to do is you want to do this as science, which means it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong at this point because you're going to learn from it. And that means you'll be doing good science. So pause here and try to order these into the 12 from the largest to the smallest shapes. All right, how did you do? When I did this one, just based on my guesses, I actually thought the wavelength of light was smaller, and I was wrong, which when thinking about it, of course, you know, makes sense, but that's what I thought. So we're talking about things at the really small scale. Ant at the largest, the dot, the human cell, even smaller is the bacterium, even smaller are the droplets of sneezes, even smaller is the wavelength of light, even smaller is the pore size on an N95 mask, even smaller is the coronavirus, even smaller is a ribosome, even smaller is an antibody, even smaller is a protein, and the smallest on this list is DNA. Oops, not that. So this is the order. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about what is a nanometer. 1 meter is about 3 feet. If you have a yardstick that also has the metric scale, you'll see 39 inches is about 1 meter. So that gives you an idea for that. So 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. 1 meter equals 1,000 millimeters. 1 meter equals 1 million micrometers, and 1 meter equals 1 billion nanometers. So the size of an ant that's about, some of our smallest ants are about 2 millimeters in size. That would be 2 billion nanometers. Okay, no, I'm sorry. That would be 2 million nanometers big. So they were talking about really small things. So nanometers is a really tiny scale. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So the next part of this activity is with the blanks. There we go. So here, and if you read through the lesson, it also talks about what you can do. So what you're going to do is you're going to draw a picture of different things that are small, and I've given you 10 of them. Now, if you want to substitute for something else, you certainly can, like the molecule of a water droplet, or not a droplet, just a water molecule. H2O, if you wanted to include that, you could. But you draw a picture of it. You can use the internet and research this and draw a picture of it and then find out what size it is, and then you can add it to your scale. Is it bigger? Is it smaller than what we have here? How big is an atom? A hydrogen atom, which is the smallest of the atoms compared to everything else. And from this, you can start to see the size of the smallest pieces of matter that we know about and where they fit into the grand scheme of things. Now on this list, notice where the coronavirus fits, right there. So we have all this list, or all these sizes, and notice where the coronavirus is. It is smaller than the cell by quite a bit, but it's bigger than the cellular components. It's also smaller than the N95 mask pores that allow breathing through. And what that means is this can invade the cell, infect the cell, and take over the equipment. The DNA in here will take over the equipment in the cell to make more of itself. So the ribosomes will put together the glycoproteins. It will go in, it will take the mechanisms that replicate and translate DNA into DNA or DNA into RNA. And it'll take over that so that it starts replicating that for itself. And it starts to build the capsid, which is a protein. It starts to build the different glycoproteins that recognize other cells, the cells it needs to invade, and its own genetic material to make new particles. So finish it up with this, and then if you're on the very last page, you'll find the answers so that you can double check your work with this, and this is just the scale of things. So have fun with sizes, and we'll see you for our next lesson on virology and epidemiology in our Viral Cycles series. So we'll see you next time.